Hi everyone, my name is Tina Quaring and I am the board chair and treasurer of Southwestern Ontario Gleaners. Southwestern Ontario is one of the most prosperous places on earth, and a lot of our prosperity comes from vegetables. We grow vegetables in our fields and in our greenhouses, and we also import millions of pounds of vegetables each year. Not all the produce that is grown is marketable. Sometimes it's too big or too small, has a blemish, or gets damaged in transportation. And this unmarketable produce is then dumped by the truckload into our landfills. There are millions of people that could greatly benefit from our unmarketable produce. There are now over 65 million refugees in the world and over 210 million orphans. These people have no resources to make a living, and when there isn't enough food, it is the old, the sick, and the children that go hungry. Last year, more than 15 million people perished from hunger and hunger-related diseases. Over 10 million of those were children. Recently, we have discovered great needs in our own community as well. As many as 1 in 4 children in Essex County now lives in poverty. With so much abundance all around us, our children are going hungry. That is not acceptable. We have to do better for our children. We have also discovered that there are children living in northern Canada whose hair is turning brown and orange from malnutrition. Ladies and gentlemen, these are Canadian children going hungry on Canadian soil while we here in Essex County bury fresh, delicious, nutritious produce by the truckload. This injustice has to stop, and it needs to stop now. With over 7 billion people on the planet, we simply cannot continue to waste food in the future like we have been doing in the past. So in November of 2011, 9 people got together and started an organization called Southwestern Ontario Gleaners. Gleaning is a biblical term. In Leviticus 19, verse 9 and 10, God told the farmers to leave some fruits and vegetables at the edge of the fields for the poor and the foreigners. And we are inspired by God's mandate to feed the hungry. Gleaning is not a new concept. Gleaning has been around for many years, but it is only in the last few years that we have become aware of the tremendous injustice of food waste, and there are now 8 gleaning operations. So what do you know about food waste? In Canada, we bury $31 billion worth of food annually. And in the United States, it's $180 billion annually. Between 30 and 40% of all the food that our farmers grow for us actually goes to waste. And food waste is now the #1 material in our landfill. Food waste creates methane gas, and methane gas is 23 times more harmful to our bodies than even carbon dioxide. It is a very deadly gas. So imagine for a moment the impact that all this wasted food has on our air quality. And should we be surprised then that respiratory disease has increased by 31% in the last decade, and 1 in 5 children in Ontario now lives with asthma? We are poisoning the air that our children breathe by burying fresh produce. And farmers pay thousands of dollars to dispose of their unmarketable produce. Last year, one farmer alone spent over $250,000 to bury unmarketable produce. That is almost enough for our entire budget for a year. But as of November of 2013, the Local Food Act was passed at Queen's Park, which means that farmers can now be receipted for their donation. So great things are happening in our community. So while we here in North America bury fresh, delicious produce by the truckload, on the other side of the world, people are starving. In fact, 22,000 people die of hunger every day. That is almost 1,000 per hour. So when was the last time you were hungry? I mean really hungry. So hungry that you felt lightheaded. Your stomach was growling. Your hands were shaky and you had no energy. That is how 1 billion people will go to sleep tonight. Every night, around 1 billion people go to sleep hungry. We have 3 little grandsons. 2 of them spend 1 night a week at our house. Our little grandson Owen is almost 2 years old, and one of my sweetest pleasures is to give him a bottle at bedtime. When he sees his bottle, he comes running with his arms in the air, big smile on his face, eyes filled with gratitude and anticipation, and I can't help but think of the millions of moms, dads, and grandparents who will be putting their little ones to sleep hungry and crying for food. I used to think that there could be nothing worse than to hear a baby crying for food and have nothing to offer it. But I think from the time that a child is too weak to cry for food until it actually passes away must be a horrendous time for parents. The silent suffering for all of them must be almost unbearable. There is so much that we can do to help. I believe by gleaning and volunteering, we can solve many of the challenges that we face in our world today. We here in Essex County have so much abundance in produce. We also have many generous and caring business people and lots of loving volunteers that are very happy to donate their time. We have the most volunteers of any province. In fact, the Windsor Star even had a write-up about it. Southwestern Ontario has the highest rate of volunteers. So when it comes to working together, we do it well. We always feel so blessed when we have our volunteers come through the door. They come through the door with smiles on their faces and joy in their hearts because they know that by working together, they are a powerful force for good in this world. Last year, our volunteers processed over 3.4 million servings of soup, which means they fed over 9,000 people somewhere in the world every single day for the entire year. What an amazing difference they have made by working together. I love that quote by Margaret Mead. A small group of thoughtful people could change this world. It is indeed the only thing that ever has. And that is what Southwestern Ontario Gleaners is all about. Change and transformation. We are transforming unmarketable produce into edible, nutritious soup mix. We are transforming lives by building nurturing relationships with our young people. And we are transforming landfills by not filling them with perfectly edible produce. Refugee camps and orphanages will no longer be places of fear and hunger, but places where children are laughing and playing, adults sitting together, enjoying a bowl of nutritious soup. Ladies and gentlemen, today you have an amazing opportunity to create that change and transformation all over the world. The progress that we have made in just a few short years is astonishing, and the support that we have received from the community is far greater than we could have ever imagined. We received our charity status on January 1st, 2013. June 1st, 2013, we took possession of a 10,000 square foot building in Leamington, Ontario. We have leased that building for 5 years. We are currently creating up to 25,000 servings of soup per day. We also have started an afternoon shift with the Leamington High School students, and we are hoping to have a shift on Wednesday afternoons. The possibilities are endless, and the produce that we can have, we could run 24 hours per day. I believe by working together, we can create a community that is truly like no other in Canada. We already know that we have some of the most generous people in our community. Our farmers grow some of the best vegetables in all of Canada. We now have a process in place where unmarketable produce first goes to the schools and food banks. What they can't use comes to the gleaners, and what we can't use goes to our local digester. For those of you that don't know, we have a digester in our community, and it digests garbage and makes electricity. Then the leftovers from the digester are put back onto the fields as fertilizer. Our produce goes from earth to earth. To date, we have raised over $1.6 million. Our budget is $330,000 annually. This is our inspection line where you see the people working on the line. There's 14 to each side, so there's a room for 28 people. That is what the produce looks like when it comes out of the dicer. Then it goes up on a conveyor up into the big dryer. From there it comes and it is stored in these barrels. Then when we have a nice selection, we mix it up and put it in 3-pound bags, and there's 6 bags to a box. In the next 90 seconds, 8 people will die of hunger while 92,000 tons of food is buried. The need is so urgent. This could be your child or mine. Can you imagine the horror of a parent to have to witness your starving child lay down in the dirt and wait to die? This is happening every hour of every day, and we, you and I, are the answer to this unimaginable tragedy. We have more than enough food to feed every hungry child, so today we hold in our hands their fragile lives. It is a completely unnecessary tragedy. Our planet is well able to grow enough food for 10 billion people. We are not helpless bystanders. We are a blessed people with resources that can make the difference between life and death for millions of people, and we need to be accountable with what we have been given. Through the Gleaners, you have an amazing opportunity to help feed the hungry, and I believe it is our obligation to do so. Matthew 25, verse 35 says, "I was hungry and you fed me. I was thirsty and you gave me drink." In verse 40 it says, "I assure you that what you have done unto the least of these my brothers and sisters, you have done unto me." Ladies and gentlemen, these are the least. These are the hungry, the lost, the lonely, the forgotten. And right now, they are waiting for life-saving food from us. So how can you help? We need 35 volunteers per shift. So gather up some family and friends and come volunteer. The hours are 8:30 to 12. By working 3.5 hours, you create 500 servings of soup mix. That is enough to feed a small village. The best part is there's always lots of goodies to go with your coffee. It's a wonderful place to spend the morning. Maybe you don't have a lot of time or resources right now, but you might know someone who does. So please share our story with your family, friends, and neighbors. In whatever way you can help, it is greatly appreciated. Our immediate goal is to start more shifts and to do at least 20 million servings per year. To share our vision and continually expand our vision of what is possible when people work for justice. With the resources that we have in our community, the possibilities are endless. We want to bring awareness about the unimaginable suffering because of hunger and poverty. We want to inspire many clubs, churches, and businesses to work with us, to partner with us and create a community that is truly like no other in Canada. We can be an example to the world of what is possible when people work together. We are doing amazing work, but there is so much more to be done, and we may never eliminate poverty from our world, but by gleaning and working together, we can eliminate hunger. We have been placed on this beautiful planet, in this amazing community, entrusted with life-saving resources. And I believe we need to be accountable. We need to stand up and say, not on my watch will I allow Canadian children to go hungry. Not on my watch will I allow our landfills to be filled with fresh, delicious produce. Not on my watch will I allow 1 billion people to go to sleep hungry every night. There are a lot of wrongs in this world that we cannot do anything about. But hunger, food waste, and air quality we can fix by gleaning. This is such a simple concept, yet it is life-changing and life-giving. Our organization is completely funded by the generosity of this community. It is almost completely run by volunteers. We have only 2 full-time and 2 part-time paid staff. I would like to invite you to become part of the solution to so many of the challenges that we face in our world today. Volunteering at the Gleaners is a great way for our youth to get their volunteer hours. It's a wonderful place where people can go spend time with their friends and at the same time become nurturing and inspirational role models for our young people. And it gives farmers an outlet for their unmarketable produce, and they can be receipted for their donation. This organization truly is a blessing for our entire community. In closing, I would like to invite you to hunger. Hunger for food, hunger for transformation, hunger for justice. I believe if you allow yourself to hunger for food, you will want to be part of the great transformation that is taking place in our community. I'd like to challenge you to a 36-hour fast and then listen to your heart. Fasting is so good for us, and it cleanses our bodies. It will also give you just a hint of an idea of how 1 billion people will go to sleep tonight. Hunger truly is an astronomical challenge in our world today, but it is one that we, by gleaning and working together, can solve. And when we solve the hunger crisis in our world, we will also solve many of the hunger-related diseases, because so many diseases come from malnutrition. It is my hope and prayer that you can imagine yourself being part of this wonderful organization, whether it is by donating vegetables, funds, or sharing of your precious time. Together, we can literally transform millions of lives. May God bless and inspire you. Thank you.